college football playoff is going to a 12-team playoff. That's what we'll start to plan our vacations around now. But they're already talking about a 14. Come on, Caleb. This cannot be at this point already. They haven't even had a 12 yet.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, Tracy Morgan. How serious are they about 14?
I need your what the H, because this is not a what the H. This is a what the F, and we can't say it.
Do you want?
That's hot.
Okay, we'll just go with that's hot because I can't find it. What do you got?
Oh, wow. Okay. It's not hot. It is not hot at all. Yes, they are going to discuss going to a 14-team playoff. And I swear I'm going to riot if they do, because they are ruining my sport. Josh Pate had a great tweet the other day. You know what it is? You know what he had, Dave? And this is true. He basically said this. A bunch of average college football fans let a bunch of people who don't know college football fool them into thinking what's best for the sport. And this is what this is, okay? Because college football is an amazing sport run by a bunch of average people. And when I say average, I mean they should not be in positions to make decisions for anything. And that's where college football is at. This is next level stupid. And here's what it is. The SEC and Big Ten, and this is what's going on right now. They're jockeying because they each want to have 2 auto bids, not 1.
That's hot.
This is stupid. They don't need 2 auto bids. The second best team in each conference is going to be going to the playoff anyway.
Let me ask you this. Do you think in 5 years that the college football playoff will be at 12, 14, 16, or more?
Oh, it'll be at 16. It'll be at 16.
I think it'll definitely be at 16. I wouldn't rule out 32.
And I'm going to tell you what's happening here. I told you guys that these conference commissioners are not that smart. And yeah, I'm putting Greg Sankey in there. I'm also putting Tony Petitti in there. Here's what's happening. This is actually really funny. Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti and Kevin Warren before Tony Petitti were so up, and so were all of these commissioners were. They were so obsessed with expansion, Dave. They were so all about expansion and expanding the college football playoff and expanding their conferences. You know what happened? They expanded so much, they rendered the need for conferences obsolete. So there is no need for conferences anymore. And now they're freaking out because guess what happens if there's no need for conferences? Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti don't have jobs. So what? So wait. Here's what they're doing. They are adding auto bids for the SEC and the Big Ten because they need the conferences to be so embedded with the college football playoff that you can't get rid of them because they know there's no need for them to exist.
I will bet you right now that Greg Sankey is the head of football for the entire NCAA and that Tony Petitti is not.
So you think that Greg Sankey is all about dissolving the conferences anyway because he knows he could be the commissioner?
I do.
He's ruining tradition in college football.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Let's talk about facts, not just how we feel. Okay, because I would be fine with. I think 12.
I gotta pour some coffee for this, guys.
I actually love the way they set it up. Surprisingly, with the buys, with the home games, I can't make it any better. So I'm perfect with 12. If you would have told me before they had 12, I would have said 8 or 16 because I didn't think about it being an uneven number. Which I know that's still an even number, but it's not easily divisible by a bracket. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't screw it. I wouldn't mess with it at all. I think it's perfect. I wouldn't mess with it over the next 20 years. Derek says, I don't pose this. I might lose it, man. Derek, lose it. Go for it because 12's good enough. Don't mess it up to the point where you can lose a third of your games and you make the playoffs. Because how many games did we see in the NFL playoffs where a team had gone and they play 17 now? So let's say they went 9-8, be in the playoffs. That's what you don't want. You want your best teams in the playoffs. And I feel like year in and year out, there are usually 1 or 2 elite teams. And then there's about 8 teams that could win a championship if they got a couple of breaks year to year. Those are my thoughts. Feel free to change those.
I'm with you.
That's why 12's okay, because you can have a Cinderella. But really, I would have been okay with 8.
So you're thinking just from the who's capable of winning the national championship. That's not where I'm going. I don't care if a team's capable or not. I think you should have to do the body of work in the regular season. That's why I never wanted a playoff to begin with.
Well, I'm definitely factoring yours in as well. I'm not discounting it. What you bring
Okay,
up
so
is a very good
here's
point. I mean, the
here's
fact
where
that
I
we care so much in September about a sport that's just a month old speaks to your point. It's a very good point.
yes, exactly. So Dave, there is one way you could get me on board with the 14-team playoff, but they won't do this. But there's one way you could get me on board. You ready?
Okay.
Every
Don't say
conference
pay more
champion,
money.
every conference champion gets an auto bid. Limit the at-large bids. Every single conference champion gets an auto bid. All
I'm
9.
the opposite. I would do everyone is some sort of formulaic BCS bid.
That makes make the regular season matter. Make the
Harris,
regular
you
if
like
you do
that?
top
Harris, you like it, don't you?
That's hot.
I know.
No, make the regular season matter. All 9 conference champions get auto bids, 5 at large bids. I'm in then. I don't like at large bids because I don't like 3 lost teams getting into the playoff. If you make all conference champions get auto bids, every regular season game still matters. Every game in September and in December matters. Otherwise,
wait, time out. So you're okay with going to 14?
if you have all the auto bids for conference, every conference gets an auto bid. Yes, because in every regular season, here's my goal, Dave. This is my point. This is where I'm at. I want the regular season to matter as much as possible. I don't care about a playoff. I don't. I want whatever makes the regular season the most exciting, because the thing about college football that matters more than any other sport is that the regular season matters. Nobody cares about NFL games in September. Okay? Nobody cares about NBA games, period. Nobody cares about baseball games anymore because they have that stupid, is it 12 teams in baseball now? It's so dumb. They should have just stuck with 4 in baseball.
It's the worst because they have like the 1-game playoff.
It's so stupid. Premier League soccer, nobody watches it here, but everybody watches it elsewhere. You know why? There is no playoff in Premier League soccer. They just do a round robin and the team with the best record is the champion. That's the way I want it. Okay. Now I'm not going to get that, but I want the regular season to matter as much as possible. If you add 2 teams, but you give 9 auto bids, you actually increase the value of the regular season at that point because every conference game matters at that point. Fine. I can live with it. Fair. If you add 2 teams and those 2 teams are just 2 more at-large bids, so you're at 9 at-large bids now, that's stupid and it's dumb. And you're going to have 8-4 LSU get in one year and luck into the national championship game and win it. And it's going to drive me crazy because they didn't do what they should have done in the regular season.
Somebody on the message board completely agrees with me. It's brought to you by Don Self. Customer service still matters. Call 423-396-2126 or go to donself.net, donself.net. State Farm agent in the Chattanooga area will take care of you when it's time to make a claim. You want that customer service. Everybody's shopping price. Donself.net. You can get a great price and get customer service that's 40 years proven. I look at the entire playoff situation, and I wonder if somebody came to me, could I come up with a better idea than what they have? And for the first time in my life, I will say that I think the NCAA came up with a better idea than what I would have come up with, because it would have been an 8. And now they're already talking about destroying it. 8 would have been a perfect number. 12 works where you can't lose 4 games in a season and make the playoffs. Now, Travis says if you're in the top 25, you should be able to play and compete for a title. Auto bids, rewards, conference play. I tend to be more along the top 12 to 15. That's the top one. That's the top 10% of the sport. Caleb, if we look at other sports, what percentages of the sports make the playoffs out of the team? 32 teams in the NFL. How many make the playoffs?
14, and it's too many.
It is too many. But don't think that college football doesn't see that and realize the money's the checks are still cashing. The money's still coming in, even though it's too many. And guys like us could nitpick their product. But don't be surprised if this one day, and we may be sending Caleb's newborn son here shortly to college on it, but don't be surprised one day if there's a 64 team playoff. Don't be stunned.
Dave.
I'm not saying Caleb, I'm not saying I like it, but don't be stunned.
And then you know what's going to happen? You know, Labor Day weekend when college football season kicks off and you always get that one big top 25 game like Alabama plays USC or something like that. Nobody's going to watch it.
I'm with you, brother. I'm not.
I mean, you're borderline at that already.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm scared that this could happen.
It is. This is the problem. College football, and this is what Josh Pate said, and he's right. College football is run by a bunch of people who don't know who aren't embedded in the sport and don't understand the value of the sport. It is the most short-sighted thing. You're turning college football into NASCAR, and I keep saying it. You are turning the sport into NASCAR. NASCAR thought it could compete with the NFL regular season by doing the Chase Cup. All they did was devalue the Daytona 500. Hey, who watched the Daytona 500 this year?
Who knows
even
when
knew it got rained out?
Yeah, who knows when it was? It was Monday at 4:00.
Yes, because that was the biggest event in NASCAR.
It used to be that was cool. Everybody'd get off work and you'd meet down at the local sports bar. Nowadays, NASCAR doesn't matter. There's a ton of reasons NASCAR is not what it once was. But I did think of the Daytona 500. I thought of you the other day, where if they go down those lines. The other thing they did is they made all cars look the same. Now you're making all programs look very similar in that they're all green. It's about getting NIL dollars. So I'm actually happy to see what we've heard, and that is there's more to it in recruiting than just NIL dollars. But if they can make more money, it's going to go to 16. It's going to go to 22. It's going to go to 28. It's going to go to 32. Don't be surprised.
But here's the problem. And actually, I usually don't try not to address the message board during the show, but I have to address what Smoky Mountain Red just said. NASCAR also tried to go after a fan base that didn't like NASCAR. You're right. What do you think college football is doing? This expanded playoff is all because fans of every other sport, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, whatever you want to say, college basketball, they're listening to fans of those sports who never loved college football that much. Is that fair to say, Dave?
Yes.
Yeah, the mob mentality of all the other sports, of fans of every other sport who don't really care about college football, is affecting the decisions that people who run college football make. And that's what's driving me insane on this, is because the people who actually are fans of college football don't want this.
Okay, I trust our message board and I trust Caleb's judgment, eye test, so to speak. So I want to get your thoughts on what I'm about to ask Caleb, because we're going to go one by one. So who won the national championship last year in college football?
Michigan.
Right. I'm going to ask you if these teams could have things break their way a little bit. I'm not saying a one-sided officiating day. I'm not saying 5 turnovers. I'm saying things break your way a little bit and you can beat Michigan and win a championship. So how many of these teams could have? Now, these are the teams in where is the final? Can you pull up? I've got the coaches poll, and then I've got the wrong rankings here. College football playoff. Okay, there we go. All right, so Washington. I mean, of course, there's no question that Washington could have played with Michigan, right?
Hey, no, they could. No, they couldn't have, and they showed they couldn't have. They got blown out by Michigan. They didn't belong in that title game.
But you don't. But you are number 2.
There's not a scenario where Washington. There is not a scenario where Washington beats Michigan.
Okay. Okay, this should be more fun than I thought. I think the fact that they got there and they were undefeated, I have no problem with them being there. Texas could have beat Michigan if Texas has a good day.
Say wham.
All right. I think they could have. Alabama.
Yes, because Alabama barely lost to them. They could have beaten them.
That's hot.
All right. Florida State. I know where you're going here.
They couldn't have beaten them with Jordan Travis.
Skip it. We'll just go ahead and skip that with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Georgia in at 6.
Yes, yeah. That's obvious. Georgia could have beaten them.
Ohio State. It's tough to say that, isn't it?
Well, they could have. They were close. They could have.
Yeah. All right. Oregon.
Nope.
Missouri.
Nope.
Penn State.
Nope.
Ole Miss.
Nope.
Oklahoma.
Nope.
LSU.
Nope.
I don't think so either. So how many teams could actually beat them on their best day? Did we come up with 4 teams? Mine maybe 6, yours maybe 3.
I'm at 3. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. Those were the only ones that ever could have beaten Michigan on any given day.
Okay, I would take, obviously, I mean, we know what happened, but I would take Washington, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State going into that game or into that potential playoff
as a chance to win.
Yes, a chance to win and needs some help. I think I told you in September that Michigan was the best team, didn't I?
Dave, I got a question. Outside, you were right. Outside of the three I named, Georgia, Ohio State, and who is it? And Alabama. Do you think Vegas would favor Michigan by fewer than 10 points against any other team that you just named outside of those three?
No. Favor them by more than 10 points?
Fewer than 10. They'd be double-digit favorites against every other team outside of those three.
Oh, yeah.
Vegas would make them double-digit favorites against every other team.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Now we've got some different thoughts on the message board. Texas, Ole Miss, Oregon, Mizzou would beat Michigan 50%.
That is what?
And maybe
what?
Maybe a little strong for you, but I'm not arguing with Ole Miss. I think Michigan.
Y'all are smoking crack, okay? Y'all are insane.